Hello, friends. This is your friend Kenzie Dodds, and I'm joined by my friend Serene Yew. Say hi, Serene.
Hi, everybody.
So I'm super excited to have Serene with us. So Serene and I met last year at React Amsterdam, and I had arrived into Amsterdam at like 8:30 in the morning. I'd flown all night. I was not feeling awesome, and I somehow managed to find my way to my hotel carrying all my bags. And the hotel wouldn't let me like stay there because I was too early. And they didn't offer to take my bags, and maybe I should have asked. But in any case, I still had all my bags. I was really, really hungry. I needed to use the bathroom. And so I was like wandering all over the place, and our hotel was not in a very convenient location. And so I was just super sad. And then I pulled up Slack and I saw Serene mention that she was just looking to hang out with people before the conference. And I was like, me, please, me, I need people. And so we met up at this little restaurant, and we got these enormous shakes that were so delicious. And yeah, that's how I met Serene. It was a good time. So that is my experience with Serene, and we've been friends since. We've run into each other at a couple other conferences and things. And yeah, Serene, why don't you give us your side of the story? Why don't you introduce yourself to all of us here?
Sure. Yeah. Hi, I'm Serene. I live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and like Ken mentioned, we've been friends for about a year, and it was pretty funny how we met because I was just kind of looking for people to hang out with, and I had no idea he was a Twitter celebrity, and so we we just met up, and I was like, "Hi, I'm Serene," and he's like, "Hi, I'm Kent," and I was like, "All right, what do you do?" And he said JavaScript, and I was like, "Oh, sorry to hear that," and and we
So
got
you were
some.
at a JavaScript conference. I mean,
I guess it was to be expected. And
yeah.
so we had some giant, enormous milkshakes, and the rest is history. And so, yeah, I'm a single mom of two boys. Hi, Owen. Hi, Keegan. Who, incoming cliche, they're my inspiration. I have been working in software for about 14 years, doing everything from front end to back end, DevOps, and project management. I've worked with shareholders and boards to build technical strategic direction. And now I am running Pixeltree, which is a local software consultancy focused on helping builders build their ideas with a really strong sense of community stewardship. And so we source local junior talent for these projects and provide them with the mentorship that they need through these projects so that they can bridge the gap between getting a job with no experience and requiring experience to get a job.
Mm, that actually is pretty relevant today. I didn't realize that's exactly what you do. Well, cool. So, actually, let's just lead in with that. So, at your company, what exactly is your role at the company? Can you describe what you do there a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So at Pixeltree, I am basically the technical director. So I am in charge of like sourcing local talent and also mentoring them, providing them with the training that they need. And also, so from a technical perspective, I would review all their code and make sure that it's up to par so that our clients still get the guarantees that they need, that we're still delivering a really solid product while getting a little bit of a discount because of more junior resources. And then from the talent side, they're provided with the experience they need. And so it's not our intention to hang on to this talent forever. We encourage them to move on after training. So with our clients, if they start growing, we actually encourage our employees to go and work for them. And so we just bake in a path with the clients to begin with so that if these developers or project managers or whatever would like to go work for these clients, that they have that path laid out for them already.
Oh, that's really cool. And how long have you been doing that?
About 8 years.
Wow. So somehow in all of our introductions, I must have missed that story of what you do. That's really very very cool, I think. Um, and honestly, like pretty noble what you do. You're really helping people because I find countless junior developers, especially like anytime I go to a meetup, there are tons of junior developers that are there because their boot camp told them to show up, and whatever the case may be. Um, and it always ends up being like, yeah, I'm looking for a job, or like, is anybody hiring? And every single one of them is just really struggling hard to find a good place that is interested in hiring juniors. And I have some thoughts about that, but I'm actually curious, why do you think it's so difficult for these new developers to get into the job market?
Well, I think most companies are looking for just people they can hire who can deliver quickly. And so they believe that the more senior people are going to have that delivery skill. And while that is true, they don't recognize the importance of fostering training of junior developers in order to maintain continuity in the ecosystem. And
Hmm.
I don't think they do it intentionally. You know, they're just trying to do the best that they can for the company. And so I think part of my job is to help them to understand the importance of this and still provide them with the guarantee that they need so that their products are still going to be delivered on time with the quality they expect, but with the additional bonus of being able to train up some juniors.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's a pretty accurate assessment, and I would add that I think lots of companies, not only do they want somebody who can deliver right away, but they also um, implicitly maybe don't have trust in their own ability to train these people in to do the right thing. Um, and like when I was at PayPal, we hired an entire team of almost exclusive juniors. Just coming right out of boot camps, and they were all just marvelous, super talented, skilled developers that just needed a little bit of direction and PRs every now and then, and maybe more architectural, like bigger picture thinking conversations as well. And I always found that to be really enjoyable, honestly. Um, but yeah, why don't we like shift over to mentorship in as the a general topic of what we're talking about today? So obviously, for the last 8 years, mentorship has been a huge part of what you do. Why do you like? Why is that so interesting to you? What do you get out of mentoring other developers?
Well, maybe I'll step back and kind of tell you a bit about how I got into this and why I think it's so important. So when I was a junior, fresh out of university, I was so fortunate to have leadership on my team with managers who are willing to mentor me. It was never a formally declared mentorship, but they would always sit down with me one on one to really understand where I was struggling. And I didn't understand at the time how valuable it was, but now I can just see so clearly how it's completely shaped who I am today as a programmer, like a manager, a leader, and even a mentor. Like sometimes
Hmm.
when I encounter a difficult problem, I think back and ask myself, like what would Ted do? What would Joseph do? And I hope that one day I can make such a difference in someone's life. So,
Yeah.
I mean, what better way to incite change than to be that change?
That's a great takeaway. Everybody, write that down. Yeah, I think that's great. So it's kind of like a paying it forward, and also like I'm assuming, and anytime that I've had that sort of relationship with somebody, there's a great deal of satisfaction out of that. Do you get a lot of satisfaction out of the mentorship that you've been doing for the last many years?
I do, yeah. And actually, I find that every single person I mentor has taught me something that I didn't even know I needed to learn.
Hmm.
And so, part of being a mentor is being able to listen. And I find that every single person I've mentored has changed me in some way for the better. So I don't do it for that reason, and I also go into it explicitly looking for something I can take away from that relationship. And I find everybody has something to contribute to your life.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I know that there was one company I worked at, the one right before PayPal, that hired on Justin McMurdy, who actually will be in this same season. So you may have already heard me talk with Justin, but I hired him on, and he and I were the only front end engineers, and I'd been working on this project for a long time. And he would ask me things like, "Why are we doing things this way?" And I would have to justify the decisions that I made. And sometimes I wasn't able to do that. I wasn't able to articulate the things that I'd done. And so I always really appreciated the questions that he asked because it required me to think critically about decisions that I'd made. Just, maybe I hadn't really considered it super well. And we were able to improve the product just because his ignorance was a huge benefit to the product overall.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can learn a lot from the questions that people ask.
Yeah. So um, we've got mentorship as like a concept, and I think maybe people define this concept differently. So what does mentorship look like to you? And how have you seen it be super effective and not very effective?
Um, okay, so mentorship is a role. So not every um, leader is a mentor, not every manager is a mentor, and not every teacher is a mentor. And so some teachers are mentors and some leaders are mentors, but it's not a one-to-one relationship. And so
Hmm.
um, leadership is about helping people, usually a team, work towards a common goal. So leaders set a direction, they provide a vision, and they remove obstacles. And teaching is more about providing a very specific skill to a large group of people in a one-time setting, whereas mentorship is a longer-term commitment with a bit of a broader scope, and has a stronger focus on the personal side of things. And mentorship is a one-on-one experience where the mentor shares their experiences with a lesser experienced mentee. Uh, some managers would provide both leadership and mentorship. Um, the ideal manager would provide both, but it's not. It doesn't necessarily come with it.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That like just because you taught somebody something in a setting, that doesn't mean that you're in a mentorship relationship with that person. It really is more of an investment in the relationship itself. And actually, I was interested in why it's important for the mentorship relationship to be a relationship rather than just like a passing comment in somebody's code. Like, why does it matter that I actually have a relationship with this person, that I have an understanding of their goals and those kinds of things? That was kind of what I was going for.
Okay. So a good mentor is going to listen to you, understand who you are as a person. They are going to guide, but more importantly, they're going to listen. A mentor is compassionate and empathetic and personally invested in their mentee's success. They are humble and they recognize that they also have more to learn in this ever-changing world. And mentors are to be the cheerleader in the mentee's corner, to support them and maybe provide a network connection or even just a good book recommendation. And oftentimes for the mentee, just knowing that they have somebody in their corner to go to is already a huge safety net for them that gives them the courage to try something new and try something bigger and reach for something higher.
Yeah, that I think that makes like a lot of sense. So, um, great. What does a mentorship relationship look like? Especially, I'm thinking about in my own experience, where I have had mentors, and that was never like an official relationship. I never like asked them to be my mentor. They never asked me if I wanted them to be my mentor. But now, since I have the number of people who are aware of me as I do today, I get asked to be a mentor a lot, several times a week. Somebody will ask me to mentor them in one way or another. How could I be an effective mentor in that kind of setting, can I not be an effective mentor? Like, where is effective mentorship best placed?
So, because mentorship is a one on one experience, if you do decide that you want to be a mentor, I would not recommend having more than one or two at a time. And for me, so if I step back and I think about the mentorship roles that I currently hold, I think with the roles I currently have, I usually spend 1 hour a week with my mentees. And so that's when I sit down and we have a video conference and we chat about what did you do this week? Like, what struggles did you have? What did you really enjoy? You know, what can we do in the week forward? What are your goals? Let's look back at the goals that we had set at the beginning of this arrangement. How are we doing with that? What are you doing to work towards it? And so it's your job to keep them accountable, So you can't have too many at one time. What you do with the teaching is very, very important. I think it's complementary to the mentorship, and it takes a whole village, right? So someone's got to teach them, someone else has to mentor them. Uh, it's not your job to do everything. And I love that you're trying, but it's definitely not your job to do everything. But if you find somebody who you find particularly inspiring, I'd say, you pick them and you schedule 1 hour a week, where you can sit down and really talk to them, understand what their goals are, and hold them accountable to it, and see what you can do to move them closer to those goals.
Yeah, that makes me feel a little bit better when I tell these people, no, I'm sorry, I don't have the bandwidth to do that mentorship, but I do other things to try and make up for that. Um, and yeah, so if I am I'm a senior developer, I'm pretty experienced. I'm looking for, I don't know, more satisfaction is not really the right word, but like something more out of my career or whatever. And so I decide I want to find somebody to mentor. What would you say is a good way to go about finding a mentee?
So the simplest way is just to go to your local meetup group. If you have the capacity, try to just even do a talk. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate, or even just attend. And there's always time for announcements, and you can always say, "Hey, I've had 10 years of experience in whatever. And if anybody would like some guidance on how to navigate the technical landscape or has any questions, feel free to come chat with me after the meeting." And, and maybe you can help them. It's not a formal mentorship situation. You can turn it into one if you'd like, but it doesn't have to be. It's nice for people to even just have somebody they can ask questions to at meetups.
Hmm.
If you want something more formal, you could check with the career services department at your local college, university, technical schools, boot camps. There are often programs that are looking for mentors. If you're already a manager, you might want to consider stepping back and reviewing if your leadership approach includes mentorship. It
Hmm.
doesn't have to be a formally declared a mentorship for you to provide somebody less experienced with guidance, right? It often takes less than 1 hour per week to just sit down with each person on your team, even virtually, and understand what's going on in their work week, and consider if there's something that you can contribute to the goals that they've set. And even if it's just a compassionate ear, it can really make a difference in people's lives.
Oh, I can totally relate to that. Having just a compassionate ear. My wife is my compassionate ear, and I think she enjoys that more often sometimes than others. But yeah, having somebody just to listen to you talk about how long it took you to figure out this typo bug or something is it's a nice thing to have. So, what are some things that a mentor can do to, or sorry, a mentee can do to make this mentorship as successful as possible? Is this just like they can coast and just do whatever the mentor says, or is there some sort of investment that they need to make sure that it's successful?
So, if you are looking for a mentor, I would encourage you to have a specific goal in mind. So, it would be nice if you define that beforehand or inform the mentor that you don't actually know that you have a goal, but make sure that that's one of the things that you're going to set up right away.
Hmm.
It's not going to be a forever thing. So set a timeline and say, this mentorship is going to go 6 months. Within that time, I would like to understand more about, what frameworks I should be learning that are going to help me in the software development world. And that's going to include things like talking about what you're interested in. Do you like front end development? Do you like back end development? It might be a bit of a discovery process, but define that. Recognize that the mentor does not have an unlimited amount of time, and they're not somebody you can just text every day. Try to restrict your questions to the 1 hour a week that you've allocated, right? So just be respectful of them. They have lives and they have careers. So remember that. And remember to appreciate that you have this opportunity. And if every single week, come up with a list of things that you are going to do to further improve on your goals, and actually do them. Show some improvement every week. And at the end of 3 months, if you've mutually decided you'd like to extend the mentorship, then set another 3 months. But always have an end date in mind with set goals in mind. And that's going to keep everybody accountable to the goals that were set at the beginning.
I like that time frame too, because it makes it forces you to make goals that are scoped, rather than just, yeah, I want to be the CTO of Google one day or whatever. Which, by the way, I don't want to be the CTO of Google, but that would be a pretty enormous goal. Maybe not a bad one, but probably something to break down into maybe 3 month chunks. Do you have other advice on the kinds of goals that mentor and mentee could make together?
I think those are pretty person specific. I've, some of the examples I gave you earlier are ones that I've heard before. Currently, I am mentoring this lady who's doing basically a technical upskilling boot camp at our local college. She's been through multiple industries in her life. Her kids are grown up, and she's decided now that she wants to move into tech. And so when we discussed at in our first call what her goals were going to be, she said she just wants somebody who can help her understand the technical landscape of the city, like how to navigate it. How am I going to get a job doing this? Are my skills even relevant? And so it's very different, right? Even though she's in a technical program and I'm a technical mentor, our goals are not technically related at all, right? So I would just encourage mentors to really listen, instead of telling the mentee what their goals should be, to try to understand what their needs are, where they've been, and where they're trying to go, and form some goals based on that.
Yeah, and I guess that's one reason why that mentorship relationship needs to be more than just a passing tweet every now and then, but an actual relationship where you understand this person. Um, yeah, that's great. So, I'm curious how mentorship has changed over the course of your experience as a mentor. Is Would you say that with the rise of boot camps and just the huge amount of people entering this industry, would you say that mentorship has become more important over the recent years?
Yeah, I think so. I think, especially with all the changes these days, there are a lot of companies who are trying to pivot into the online virtual space, and it's creating a huge demand for technical talent as well, which is great because I think we actually had a whole bunch of new technical talent come in. However, without the proper mentorship, the newer developers, they're going to do their best, but they're just they're not going to do it as quickly or as effectively as if they had a mentor. And so I think it's actually our responsibilities as senior members of the community to provide this mentorship and give back to the community. Because where would we have been without the people who shaped our lives? And let's be that person for someone else.
Yeah, I think that anybody who suggests that they didn't have a mentor is probably missing somebody who has helped them in their lives, because I don't think that any of us really is somebody who just learned completely in isolation from the rest of the world. Even if you never had an actual official mentorship relationship, you probably had several people who kind of helped you along your way as you got started. So, yeah, definitely can see that kind of moral imperative that we have to mentor and help others. So, what would you say? Like, let's say that I'm not convinced. I don't want to go out and mentor. What am I going to miss out on because I just want to play my Xbox instead, or whatever else I want to do?
Um, all right, I'll start by telling you a story. So one night I was just absolutely exhausted. I had spent weeks preparing for this Intro to Ruby on Rails course that I was offering for free the next day at the local library. And I was just taking a break, sitting on the couch, just snuggling with my kids. And in a moment of weakness, I said to my son, "Oh, honey, I am just so tired. Why did I offer to teach this class?" And Owen, my son, who was 8 at the time, he said, "Mommy, it's so important that you're doing this to help people. It's like how I'm in student council? It's to help the younger kids, even though I have to give up my lunch break once a week." And and so I decided then that if my son can step up and take 1 hour of playground time out of his week to help the kids in the lower grades, then at least I can take 1 hour out of my week to help someone else.
Well, now you've given Owen a reason to listen to more of the podcast, so that's mission accomplished. That's a great story. For those listeners who don't have children, you don't know what you're missing. They are very special, and everybody's situation is different. I know, but boy, I learned so much from my children. So thank you for sharing that story. And I agree. There are things that we are missing out because we're not sharing the things that we know with other people, and it's actually one of those things that it's kind of hard to describe what it is exactly that you're missing out on. um, but you know it when you've experienced it, when you've had that experience of making a significant impact on the life of someone else. So yeah, did you have anything else you wanted to comment on that?
Um, yeah, I guess in terms of takeaways, I want to encourage people who have ever been interested in mentorship to know that there are tons of opportunities to do so. Go to your meetups, check your local colleges, universities, boot camps, technical schools, and if you're able to, I really, really encourage you to try and spend some time with a mentee. I promise you that you will learn something you never knew before, and you're going to make a huge difference in someone else's life. And just, change can only happen one person at a time. And so
Mm,
we should never underestimate the power of changing one person's life.
yeah, that makes me think of the starfish story where this guy's throwing the starfish into the ocean, and so he's like, "There are hundreds of starfish. You'll never be able to make a difference." He's like, "I made a difference for this one," and throws it in the ocean. So yep, it matters. It really does. And honestly, I have a pretty big impact with the work that I do because I make these courses. Thousands of people take them, and it's awesome. But the impact that I've made on individuals has been more satisfying to me to see that change that's come across or come onto an individual than all the tweets that people send me like this helped me in my job or whatever. It definitely when you have a relationship with an individual and you see them growing and succeeding and accomplishing their goals, there's something special about that experience. Absolutely. All right. So, as we get down to our time here, we want to give some homework to those listening. So, here's your homework. This should be pretty easy. Just put it on a list and give us a check mark. Reach out to your local college and ask them about mentorship programs that they have, or attend a meetup and find a mentee. And this is a relationship, so you can go to that meetup and talk with people and see if you'd be a good fit for each other. And if not, then maybe you can find somebody else. That's a huge benefit or like a huge thing that you can offer is connections between other people. But yeah, so see if you can find yourself a mentee and experience the wonderful experience of mentorship that there is. Serene, do you have anything to add to that?
No, that's all. Had a great time chatting with you again.
Yeah, likewise. All right. So, what is the best way for people to reach out to you, Serene?
So they can reach me on my fresh and shiny Twitter account at So Serene. That's S0SERENE. Or they can look for me on LinkedIn or at pixeltree.ca.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Serene. It's been a serene experience with you. And
Oh boy.
sorry, that's a groan. And yeah, we'll see everybody in the future virtually, I suppose. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye.